Welcome back. We're almost done. We just need to add our shopping list app back in here. Well, not really. We're going to use the navigation for that because we want to display the shopping list app, but then we also want to have the capability of displaying the Google Maps thing, which is going to be our location selection screen, right? So let's go ahead and set up a new composable here. Add composable fun navigation, and this navigation here will require a nav controller, which is going to be a remember nav controller, like so. And then we're going to have a view model, which is going to be our location view model, which I'm just gonna set as the default view model, like so. No additional details. Now I'm getting an error because I need to import view model. Then I need a context. So val context, which will be a local context dot current. We've seen that before. And I need the location utils, which will be my location utils object, and the location utils object needs a context. So now everything comes together because because as I have shown you before, if we want to display this pop-up, we need to pass a lot of details to it, the navigation controller and the context and so forth. So the location utils needed to have a context for it to know in which context it's supposed to request the permissions, okay? Request location updates, request permissions, and so forth. Now, our shopping list here, if you recall, this composable, it needed a location utils, the view model, the nav controller, the context, and an address that it's supposed to display. Now, that is what I'm preparing here. So I'm preparing the nav controller, the view model, the context, the location utils, and I will also pass into it the address, which I'm going to get from the view model. Okay, because the view model, if we recall here, contains the address because it can fetch the address using all of this retrofit stuff that we've set up. So let's keep going. We're going to use a nav host to which we can pass our nav controller. We're going to pass the start destination to be, and I'm going to call this thing shopping list screen. Okay, so the shopping list screen will be our first screen. Now nav host, let me import that as well, and it will be the not this one, it will be that one, the composable one, which then says nav graph builder. And then I can go ahead and say composable and have my shopping list screen. So here, one composable will be having the root of shopping list screen, which now in turn will contain our shopping list app. So now we're finally using our shopping list app, which is this big composable here, as you see, which needed the location, utils, view model, nav controller, context, all of the good stuff. So now I'm putting all of that together. Now I need to pass in the location utils. So let's do that. We've set them up here. I'm going to pass in the view model. All right, let's do that. I'm going to pass in the nav controller. All right, we have that. I'm going to pass in the context. Cool, we got that. So we are taking the current context, local context current, and we need to pass in the address. So the address we don't have yet, but where do we get it from? We get it from our view model. So view model, address, value, and I'm just gonna say first or null. So a list has a function called first or null. And this function allows us to say, hey, no matter how many items you have, I'm only interested in the first item. And if you have no items, then okay, then it will be null, whatever. So that's what we're saying here, first or null. which can be null. So we need to add the question mark, and I want to have the formatted address. And if I don't have anything, so I'm going to use the Elvis operator here, I'm going to say no address. So my address, which is a string, will take the address from the view model's address, which will take it from the internet. So here it's going to get it from the geocoding results, and it will get us that. So that's what I'm passing on to my shopping list app. So at the beginning, as we're not fetching the address yet, you can see that it's grayed out. At the beginning, when I start my application, it will be an empty screen. It will not be an empty screen, but the text will be empty for the address. So because we just used this Elvis app operator, which saves us a lot of headaches. So we're basically saying, hey, we have not selected an address yet, or the address that we're passing will be no address. However, once we open up the dialog, now comes the interesting part, something that we have not seen yet, dialog. So you cannot only use composables, which would be entire screens inside of the nav host, but you can use dialog. So I'm going to import dialog, which will be a pop-up. So I'm using a pop-up, which I'm going to call location screen. Now that will give us the nav backstack entry. So the navigation backstack entry. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, I'm naming that thing that you're giving me. I'm going to call that backstack. And then I'm going to use my view model, the one that I created, the variable, the location, value, and I'm going to unpack it using the let keyword. So now I will get location data. So my it will be location data. So let me check. I'm going to call it it2 or it1. Okay, like so. So this location data, I'm going to call it it1, will now be available for my location selection screen as the location. So my location will be it1, and the code that I want to execute once I select the location, clicking on the button. So this on location selected, if you recall, this was the event that we triggered once we clicked on the button, where we said, okay, once you click on the button, we're going to execute on location selected, and we're going to pass in the location to you. Okay, so now this thing I want to use, and I want to use my view model fetch address, and I want to pass the location. So I'm going to do the lat long like so, it dot latitude, then comma, and again in curly brackets, it dot longitude. So what do I call it? What is this it now? Well, this it is this location data. Don't mistreat it with this it1. So I called this one it1. Now this one will be the it. So the location data, I could have called it location data here, like so, okay? Location data, like so. And then it would be location data dot latitude, location data dot longitude, like so. Okay, so just so you see what this thing does. And now we are going to use our nav controller to pop the backstack. Wait a second, let me see. Yep. So that will basically attempt to pop the controller's backstack analogous to when the user presses the system's back button when the associated navigation host has focus. And now at this point, we can use our navigation instead of our shopping list in here, like so. So our onCreate method, the only thing it does is it loads the composable navigation. And before we now can run it, there's one last thing we need to add, and that is the permission. So here, uses permission, we need to add find location, like so. We need to add the course location, and we need to add internet, because we are loading data from the internet, like getting the JSON file and converting it into something readable. Now let's run this and see if our application crashes, because it could very well. So we've not like tested our app in a while. So there we are. Let's click on add item. Let's click on address. Our pop-up request opens up. So I'm going to say, while using the app, you get full access. Now I click on address and you see my Google Maps opens up and it takes the address of where I am. Let me zoom in. By the way, in order to zoom in, you can hold the control key. I assume on Mac it will be the command key. You can hold it and then zoom to the side. So I'm going to select a different location. I'm going to, let's zoom further in so that we can actually read the address, and it's Colony Street. Let's click on here, which will take the Colony Street, like this, latitude, longitude. Let's set the location. Let's click this little button that we added. Let's set that. And something wrong. Let me try again. Let me set the location again. Charles Campus, Alta Ave, and set. And now while testing, and we were testing, I realized that whenever I was on this pop-up screen here and I set the location, it didn't work. So there was one thing that we missed, and that is inside of the shopping list KT file, we had the shopping item editor that we used. Inside of shopping list item, at the shopping item editor. So here where we say it.name, it.quantity, now we're going to set the address to be the address. So the address of the shopping item editor should be whatever address we are passed when we are using the shopping list app. So let's rerun this. And now let's add an item. Let's select an address. So we click on address and it takes a little while before this pop-up appears. So maybe we should display like a little indicator or something like that. But for now it's fine. So let me just select this avenue here, which is called, what is it, like Ala Avenue or something? Alta Avenue, I believe. Okay, set location. Let's give this item a name. Let's say Pixel Fold. And let's say we add one item and we add that item. And we're not loading the address yet. So we have the name, we have the quantity, the UI is fine. We have this little pin icon here, but we're not displaying the text yet. So let me quickly figure that out. Well, one of them is also in the shopping list. So if show dialog, alert dialog. So here I'm adding the item quantity inside of item name, new item, shopping item. I need to pass the address here as well. So comma address will be the address. And that might very well be it. So let's click on add item. Let's click on address. It needs a second or two to load the maps feature. I'm just going to set the location, whatever that was. And that will be a Pixel Fold. I'm gonna click one, click add, and there we are. So now we are displaying the address here. So we're saying Pixel Fold 1 at this address. All right, so let's go ahead and add another item. Let's select an address. Okay, let me zoom in and go over to, I don't know, Mountain View. We are in, I don't know where that is. And I will probably never get there or go there. Latham Street or whatever that is. Let's set that location. And let's say we buy shoes there. And let's add that. And we see Latham Street. All right. So that's pretty much it. You see, a lot came together. We pulled everything together and now we can see the address. Now we see our items, we see the address, all the good stuff. All right. So that's it for this video. See you in the summary.